social banking from GT Bank. Anywhere, anytime, any device.
His second goal in the tournament. And the moment that
Nigeria were beaten in the final in 1984, 88 and 90, but not this one. Nigeria are the new champions of Africa.
The average Nigerian is crazy about football. Well, the average Nigerian could be said to be just plain crazy. But football certainly occupies a special place in this corner of craziness.
The arrow heads out. Odyssey! Have turned it around, and now they lead!
The country's relationship with football has been a very interesting one. It's been long, it's been exhilarating, it's been fun, and it's been downright frustrating.
You need to finish. If you break leg now, Nigeria go cheat am. Why then come on Moses? Moses is playing 3, playing 11. Why then come on Moses?
Nigeria first participated in a competitive football match in 1949. If that sounds like a really long time ago, it's because it is in fact a really long time ago.
Introducing the Nigerian football team. And what's the first thing you notice? No boots.
A team including legends like Dan Anyam, Peter Anyeke, and Teslim Balogun visited the UK under the name UK Tourists and took part in a number of friendly matches, 9 to be exact. They won 2 matches, drew 2, and lost 5. What followed was Nigeria's first appearance at the Africa Cup of Nations in Ghana in 1963. Also, a very long time ago. The team was drawn into a group that included Sudan and the United Arab Republic. Unfortunately, the team lost the 2 games it played and conceded 10 goals in the process.
Shoot, and talks up goal 1 to the UAR. At half time.
The next time Nigeria competed for the trophy was in 1976, this time in Ethiopia. The team finished 3rd.
Stars like Kunle Aweshu, Haruna Ilerika, Segun Odegbami, and Muda Lawal were born in this tournament.
The future looked quite promising. Well, more promising than the last tournament at least, until 1978. The result here was another 3rd place finish. Hearts were crushed, tears were shed, hope was lost. And then, for the first time, Nigeria hosted the continent. There was hope, there was faith, there was sweat, along with blood and tears and other fluids shed during the game. And eventually, there was victory.
Can we take a look at that goal again? This is glorious. Let's take a look at that goal again.
The team, made up of players including Segun Odegbami, Haruna Ilerika, Christian Chukwu, Felix Owolabi, Muda Lawal, and Adiokie Amasiemeka, delivered the country's first Nations Cup title. Finally, the country had joined a small group of countries who could call themselves African champions. But of course, it couldn't end there. The challenge was winning the title away from home. Sadly, this remained out of reach until 1994.
Nigeria were beaten in the final in 1984, 88 and 90, but not this one. Nigeria are the new champions of Africa.
The 1994 team was like none Nigerians had ever seen. Blessed with some of Africa's best players at that time, the team had it all: pace, physicality, and a tough never-say-die attitude with a flair and technique on a scale almost alien to African football. It was clear that this was a team that was ready to win. What was not so obvious was the time it had taken to build this team. 5 years to be exact.
I remember that during the qualifiers for 92 Nations Cup in Senegal, I followed them home and away. I watched all the matches, so I saw the team develop, okay? And by the time we got to the finals in 92, the Eagles were the best in Africa, I must say with all due modesty, and everybody expected Nigeria to win. Then we ran into Ghana, Abedi Pele, the flick header in the semi-finals, and then we were out, unfortunately. So getting to 94, to be honest, I wasn't surprised that we won. The team of 92 was even much stronger in 94. A few other players had come in. Okocha was not there in 92, he came in for 94. Olise was not there for 92, he came in 94. And then Keshi, Eguavoen, and the rest of the guys who were in 92 were still there for 94. So the team was much stronger, much experienced. And I think I remember that Complete Football, that I worked for, our headline going into the tournament in 94 was Super Eagles champions, and we put a question mark. And after we won the tournament, we came up with another headline, Super Eagles champion, with an exclamation mark.
The qualifiers for Tunisia 94 came and went, with the team breezing through. Then came the Nations Cup, and expectations were, to put it one way, high.
Besides the coaches, we the players said, listen, our main purpose going to Tunisia is to win the cup. This is just within the players. We said, we have to win this cup this year. If we don't win this cup this year, that's it for Nigeria. And we went out there, a lot of people, against us, they didn't want us. And some Nigerians didn't want us, they didn't believe. Not that they didn't want us, they didn't believe that we can win it. Until we go to the final, and thank God he gave us the victory.
Of course, on the Nigerian side, are popular on the continent. One of them is this man's Rikinis, and a fantastic goal this must be. Beautiful, beautiful.
You look at the departments of that team, there was really no missing point. Then the middle was solid. You had a playmaker, you had the ball carriers, you have the dead carriers. Beyond all of that, you had midfielders who could score.
Was not such a good one that time. The pressure eased. Was played out there by Amoniki, who'd come back way deep in defense. Listen to the whistling in the stadium. Now Yekini, can he knock it back? He chests the ball down, he's got his scores, the woodwork. He took the words out of my mouth.
In terms of weaknesses, maybe occasionally we suffered loss of concentration, and those who are down to specific players, sometimes they just switched off, because especially I think I go back again to the semi-finals against Cote d'Ivoire. It was down to a mix-up, a breakdown in communication between Peter Rufai in goal and Stephen Keshi that Cote d'Ivoire scored their first goal. Because I remember Rufai was telling me after the game that, look, he thought Keshi was going to go for the ball, and Keshi thought he was coming for the ball, so Keshi let go, and then Michel Bassolé, the Ivorian striker, just got in between them and headed the ball home. And thereafter, Keshi was saying, Rufai, call, you should have called, you should have. And Rufai was saying, I called. But look, that's medicine after that. So occasionally you had that, but luckily they were able to overcome that because of their other strengths.
But reasons for this fate in the team were the result of the work of a certain Dutchman.
And Westerhoff came on board, and he put some structure in place. And the entire team, talking about management and players now, followed. So it took about 5 years to build that thing, and that's how we emerged.
It's a question that I've not pondered or nobody has asked me before. But I know that suddenly it descended on us, and we did not know him. Those of us who believe that we knew a lot of European coaches, we didn't see him in anywhere near our list. And then we made some investigation and found out that we are maybe a football enthusiast, somebody who perhaps knew theoretically about the game, but who had no coaching pedigree. We found out that he owned a bus somewhere and so on. That is what we thought he was, you know. And he was very clever, you know. He came in as a manager and then brought in some people to also help him tactically, like I said earlier on. We did, but he came to Nigeria and made himself, set up a good team, won the African Nations Cup, and then increased and raised his own profile.
He never even saw me as one of those who really like him, because I knew how they came. And even when I was special advisor to the sports minister in 1990, when they used to think I was a junior minister, they thought all the decisions came from my office, because I had cause to... he stayed in a hotel for so long. I was the first person to tell him, you're not going to stay in a hotel. I give you January 1st, 1991. If you don't move out of the hotel, we have a house for you. You don't move there will be trouble. So I knew him. He was ready. He was passionate about the talents scattered across the country. He wanted to make a mark. He was innocent. He didn't have nobody knew him in Holland. This was for him the harvest ground. This was where he cultivated his garden, and he stayed to harvest it, and he's still harvesting it. When he tried to even leave Nigeria outside, ventured, everybody knew what the result was. So you had a manager who also had the governmental support.
Westerhoff had all the brilliance and charisma expected of a great leader. However, many felt his achievements were only made possible by the contributions of his backroom staff, particularly a fellow Dutchman.
Football is collective sport. It can't be individual. But at the end of the day, one person has to be mentioned, which should be Westerhoff. Westerhoff knew what Bonfrey had. That's why he brought him over. Maybe without Bonfrey, he wouldn't have succeeded. Maybe he would have looked for somebody else. And that's why you have a continuum of coaches that everybody, you know, has his opinion, and then, of course, the boss has the final say.
Naturally, I look at a coach and his assistant like what a father and mother is to a child. Okay? When the father smacks the child runs to the mother. And then the mother says, you know, pets him and all of that. So Westerhoff was the father in the Super Eagles, and he was smacking all the players, you know, in terms of discipline. If you came late to camp, he fined you. If you didn't do well in the game, he dropped you. So he was very strong. So naturally, the players found a sort of abode with Bonfrey. Each time Westerhoff smacked them, they ran to the mother, who was Bonfrey, in my opinion. So they started saying nice things about him, how he was so good, he was so nice, etc., etc. I think that's where the story came from, in my opinion.
Things were off to a bang from the first game. The team kicked off things with a 3-0 win over Gabon.
They went on to play a goalless draw against Egypt to finish second in the group, leaving them with the matter of the quarter-final match against Zaire.
There was some doubt in some parts, but 2 goals by Rashidi Yekini quickly settled matters. Yekini's goal haul had also reached a total of 4 in 3 games. Clearly, he was going to be one to watch.
Number 1, Rashidi Yekini stood out. Rashidi Yekini was feared by the whole of Africa. 19 Nations Cup, he was our top scorer. 92, he was our top scorer. And 94, he was also our top scorer. And I think I remember Sunday Olise saying, look, Rashidi will just tell me, look, Sonny, don't waste time with the ball. Just give me the long ball. You know, and you know, Yekini was not cut out for, you know, all the niceties of controlling and dribbling. He just wanted the ball right ahead of him for him to run to and finish.
They had different qualities. You know, defense line, we were very tough, very resilient. You know, there's no way we would have done it by ourselves. But again, if you look at the 3-4 keepers we had there, you know, top-class goalkeepers. Peter Rufai was there, Wilfred Ogbonawari was there, Aloyago was there, Keshi was there. So anyone that was picked to play was good to go. If you look at defense line, we were solid. And the cooperation between defending players and midfield line was also superb because Olise was always there to come back and form a screen in front of the centre back. And Mutu had a lot of stamina. He could run back and forth. Oleha, Friday, could name it. And then when we're going into difficulties, then we look for JJ. We can do things out of nothing. And then we also had Finidi and of course Amuneke on the wide side. And prolific striker Rashidi Akini, who will look back. From 2 chances, he would take one.
Zaire left in the dust. The Super Eagles were faced with the biggest test yet. The reigning African champions, the Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire. Unfortunately, for the Elephants that is, the Eagles were victorious.
Indeed, Westerhoff came with the style that today we're going to attack from the left. You find him piling the players from the left in terms of attacking strength. On the right, he will go for players who had the ability not only to use pace on the right, but also the ability to shoot from the right. And so there was always that mix. So the team was complete. I didn't see any weakness in terms of the team itself.
Now, all that stood between the Eagles and the trophy was the Chipolopolo of Zambia. And for them, Westerhoff had the perfect weapon. Amunike was quite literally a secret weapon. He had played a grand total of 0 minutes in the entire tournament until the final. His inclusion in the starting 11 seemed risky, ridiculous even, till it paid off.
The semi-final was always that big break. And the moment we went past semi-final, for me, it was a calming state. It was the final itself sometimes, which maybe our boys spend so much energy in the semi-final. When it comes to the final, their confidence appears to deceive them. The confidence appears to deceive them. And that's when the nation itself wakes up. Don't forget, in Nigeria, football is more than politics. Mandela says it could change the world. In Nigeria, football not only could change the political flow, it could create a new flavor.
Amunike scored 2 goals in the final. And after 14 years, the Super Eagles were African champions again. This time, on foreign soil.
For so many years, Nigeria has built on something that is called character. Strong mentality, strong mental ability. We're always very, very strong psychologically, even when things are going on very, very bad. In all areas of our lives, we still manage. But the most important thing was that as at that time, the tide was turning, against Nigeria. So what was left for us to salvage was that period that came to be that most of the great players like Daniel Amokachi, myself, Amunike, Uche Okechukwu, Uche Okafor, Emeke Zugo, Samson Siasia, the host of others, and our the big boss, Stephen Keshi, was at the time at his peak living. So he brought a very, very wonderful aura into the team, mixed up with the behavior, the character of Joe Bomfrey and Westerhoff.
Now, everything might have appeared to work like clockwork on the pitch, but whispers had it that things were not so smooth off it. There was some talk of some players exerting undue and unfair influence on the team. These guys came to be known as the Mafia. But back at home, the members of the team were heroes. All of them, not just the Mafia.
Yeah, I think Mafia is a word that the press like Ben came up with. But I've always said that if there were a Mafia, and I think it's a good Mafia, because you have a Mafia that you're winning games and you are winning trophies, then you shouldn't complain. If the Mafia exists and then you're doing what is right on the soccer field, then why complain? But definitely I don't know anything about a Mafia. You're a Mafia if you say your word. You speak out, you're loud, you're vocal, you express yourself. It's a free world, freedom of speech. And that generation will believe in it because we can back it up on the soccer field.
In true Niger style, they were showered with rewards for their heroics in Tunisia. Well, they were supposed to be. But years on, these rewards might have been a myth to some players, as they are still yet to receive them.
1994, for me, apart from winning the Nations Cup, that was the year I had my firstborn. So, an unforgettable year for me. But for the Nations Cup, it was the first time that Nigeria will receive, a champion Super Eagles flying in. When we won in 1980, we were hosts and we could see it coming. And I think it was huge. It was huge. The celebration was massive. Government organized the usual reception for the players. Announced a lot of rewards. Although some of the players are still complaining that they can't find the houses they were promised back then.
We were promised houses, and it was actually redeemed. Some players got their houses in Abuja, but we that chose Lagos, up to now as we speak, nothing has happened, and that's a bit discouraging.
Yes, we got. Should I use the word houses? At least each individual were promised house, and were given some money, not as much as what is gotten now, but very good enough for the time that we lived in.
After many years of waiting, the country could once brag about being the kings of Africa. Being a fan of the Super Eagles was once again exciting. Everything was great. But then came a political decision that would undo all the years of hard work. On the next episode of The Rise of the Eagles.
When you're talking about that continent, they're not saying that continent because we are blacks. They're saying that continent because things are not working out fine.
For me, if you ask, I say the Nations Cup, what is involved? How much money is there winning the Nations Cup? Chicken feed. So winning the trophy, except you can market the trophy itself, what money comes to the team that wins the Nations Cup? Beyond the glory line.
1-1 in the stroke of half-time, thanks to Akocha, his second goal of the tournament. And the moment that
Nigeria were beaten in the final in 1984, 88 and 90, but not this one. Nigeria are the new champions of Africa.